Welcome back, everyone, to Global Government News. This is the second part of the War on Terror, Liberty, and Sovereignty News Bulletin for August 17th, 2010. I'm Darko. Again, welcome back. I have a bunch of articles I'm going to cover in this second video series, so stick with me. This is from the Associated Press. It says Arabs lobby U.S. on anti-Israeli vote, or Israel vote. And it says, ignoring a U.S. warning, Arab nations are urging Washington and other powers to end support of Israel's nuclear secrecy and to push the Jewish state to allow international inspections of its program, diplomats told the AP Sunday. And this is weird because this comes right before this U.S. Embassy thing, which I'm about to cover. It says Islamic nations have long called for Israel, which is widely believed to have nuclear arms, to open its program. But the fact that the Arab League has directly approached Washington and other Israeli allies for support at the September meeting of the International Atomic Energy Agency is significant, considering that President Barack Obama last month warned against using that forum to single out Israel. Obama then suggested that such a move would likely kill hopes of breakthrough talks on a Mideast nuclear-free zone as proposed by the UN's 189-nation Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty Conference 3 months ago. On Israeli objections, the planned 2012 talks were backed by the U.S. and other nuclear powers for the first time since Arab nations pushed for such a gathering 15 years ago. It says the Arab appeal to pressure Israel to open its nuclear program to inspectors also threatens to deflect attention from Iran, which Washington and its allies now consider a grave nuclear proliferation threat, even though Tehran insists it is not developing nuclear weapons. So you see what is happening here, guys? Iran is getting ready to start. It's gonna begin its little nuclear energy enrichment program here in the Bushehr, or however you pronounce that, the nuclear facility that was originally started by the West, by the United States in Iran like 30 years ago. And then after the Islamic Revolution, they basically took them all this time to eventually get it finally up and running. And no, they're not close to producing weapons-grade uranium, but like Bolton, U.S. officials said, yeah, basically we have 8 days to attack Iran, because that's when their facility is going to be up. They're saying, so their case for striking Iran in the next 8 days is because once they get that facility up, if we attack that, then there's going to be nuclear, waste and fallout and all kinds of other stuff, blowback as they call it. So it's really weird because what it said here, because I wasn't even aware of this. It's used to deflect attention. So the Arab nations are pointing towards Israel and their nuclear program because it's Israel mostly who's pointing fingers at Iran. And this is what I'm talking about. Neocon Bolton renews call for Israel to bomb Iran. Last Friday, the former interim UN ambassador during the Bush administration went on Fox News and warned that if Israel did not conduct a bombing raid against Iran's nuclear energy program within a few days, the window of opportunity would be lost. Bolton made his comment following a report last week that Russia will begin loading nuclear fuel at Iran's Bushehr reactor on July 21st. And Bolton is quoted as saying, once those fuel rods are very close to the reactor, certainly once they're in the reactor, attacking it means a release of radiation, no question about it. So if Israel is going to do anything against Bushehr, it has to move the next 8 days. And this is from Manar.com. Israel, U.S. increased military cooperation, hold joint exercise. Man, the U.S. has exercises going around the entire world. You know what that means, guys? It means look out. Because false flag terrorist attacks could occur. It says the Israeli military on Saturday carried out maneuvers in a terrain that resembles South Lebanon as part of an exercise on the occupied Palestinian territories borders with Lebanon and Syria. The maneuvers were the first of their kind. Israeli TV channels showed parts of the exercise in which occupation soldiers engaged in street battles with Hezbollah. TV footage also showed U.S. Marines participating in the drills with their Israeli counterparts. U.S. military aid to Israel has increased markedly this year. Top-ranking U.S. and Israeli soldiers have shuttled between Tel Aviv and Washington with unusual frequency in recent months. A series of joint military exercises in Israel over the past months have included a record number of American troops. Two things also is Lebanon. The U.S. has withdrawn any kind of military aid to Lebanon as of now. Also, Lebanon has caught over 100 Israeli Mossad spies in their country. Also, a couple of years ago, there was one of the biggest natural gas reserves found, mostly in Israel, but partially in Lebanon. And of course, there's a big dispute over that. And then you have the cypress tree that was cut down. The Israelis hanging over the fence of the Lebanese border, hanging over the fence, trimming some trees. And I guess there was a skirmish that popped off. And so you had that going. This is from IndiaReport.com. Israel to buy the world's most advanced warplane. Jerusalem, August 17th. AFP. Israel's defense minister, Barak, approved the purchase of a fleet of U.S.-built F-35 strike fighters in a move to ramp up the capabilities of the Israeli Air Force, which, from what I heard, I was in the aviation in the Marine Corps, that Israel has one of the best air forces in the world, but hey, they got to ramp it up. I've also heard that they have one of the biggest nuclear stockpiles in the world too. So, but hey, let's not look at them. It says the minister approved in principle a recommendation by the military to purchase the F-35 or Joint Strike Fighter on Sunday. A statement from his office said, and they're supposed to buy 20 of them. And then just 2 days after that article from the AP about the Arab nation pointing fingers at Israel saying, hey, you know, show us some disclosure on your nuclear program, Palestinian threatens to kill Jews as he takes hostages at Turkish embassy. An armed Palestinian man held 2 hostages at the Turkish embassy in Tel Aviv on Tuesday, threatening to kill any Jews and demanding political asylum before he was shot by security guards. This is from August 17th, 2010. Says Nadim Enhaz, a resident of the West Bank city of Ramallah, threatened to blow up the building if he was not allowed to leave Israel, according to a recording played on Israeli radio. He said he was demanding asylum in Turkey and protection from, quote, these murderers, the Zionists, the murdering Jews, end quote. At the same time, he said that Palestinian leaders, including Mahmoud Abbas, quote, should die. Here's something interesting. Mr. Inhaz has claimed that he used to work as a collaborator with the Shin Bet Israeli intelligence agency, and he sought asylum at the British Embassy in Tel Aviv in 2000. They said at that time he was an informer and a criminal with a record of property and drug offenses who had encountered financial and legal troubles. So he was basically paid off. And this article says that the incident appears not to be related to the recent tension between Israel and Turkey following the May 31st Israeli naval commando raid on a Gaza-bound aid flotilla in which 9 Turkish activists were killed. Check this out. He said that Mr. Inhaz told Israeli reporters over the recent days that he'd been asked by Israelis a number of years ago to assassinate Marwan Barghouti, a prominent Palestinian activist who headed Fatah Tanzim organization. Says he had claimed that the Israelis tried to kill him after he refused to assassinate him. Oh wow. So okay, so I get the full picture after reading this. A Palestinian who broke into the Turkish embassy in Israel trying to take hostages and demanding asylum was turned over to Israeli authorities late Tuesday, ending a tense standoff. 7 hours after he forced his way into the embassy, the attacker was escorted out of the embassy and bundled into an Israeli ambulance wearing a light blue shirt and limping slightly from an apparent gunshot wound. He raised his arms briefly and shouted before Israeli police and paramedics subdued him. So he was trying to get asylum and get the hell out of there because you know, he wasn't doing what they want him to do anymore. And according to his reports, or his side of the story, his life was actually in risk. Some more news. Israeli soldier posed with bound Arab on Facebook. I'm just covering this briefly. It says, because some of you or most of you probably already know about it, former Israeli soldier posted photos on a Facebook of herself in uniform smiling beside a bound and blindfolded Palestinian prisoner, drawing sharp criticism Monday from the Israeli military and Palestine officials. And this is the other picture. This is Lebanon sentences Israeli spies to death. A Lebanese court has sentenced 2 men to death on charges of carrying out espionage activities for the notorious Israeli spy agency, the Mossad. This next article is from Salon.com. It's titled, A Campaign for War with Iran Begins. If neocons can't get Obama to attack Iran, they are creating a narrative so the next Republican president will. says Obama administration officials, as well as U.S. lawmakers and European diplomats, passionately made the argument this spring that tough sanctions on Iran were necessary to avoid war. But contrary to their predictions, the drumbeat for war, particularly from Israel, has only increased since the UN Secretary adopted a new resolution against Tehran in June. And the Republican Congress passed a bill that basically gave Israel, quote, the green light to attack Iran. So I don't think they really need the United States to do it, although if they were smart, they would wait for us. Not really us, not me. Not for it. Whatever this country does, I don't think most citizens are really responsible for it, much like the deficit. You know, it's the powers that be, the corporations and that have control of our government that are basically running rogue and doing whatever they want. So, you know, voting is just it's a joke. So that's just my little opinion. And I guess Jeffrey Goldberg, in an article, Point of No Return, suggests it essentially makes the case that if there's no choices left, war is a fait accompli, whatever. Quote, here's what he says. If the Israelis reach the firm conclusion that Obama will not, under any circumstances, launch a strike on Iran, then the countdown will begin for a unilateral Israeli strike. This next article is from PrisonPlanet.com. Former Pakistani intel chief fears World War III is imminent. These are some of the highlights of what he was saying. Global clique and, quote, ultra-imperial club shaping world affairs. Destabilization exercise known as, quote, war on terror could lead to World War III. So you see, this man is saying that the war on terror is a bunch of crap. And that's why I call these videos the war on terror, liberty, sovereignty, because that's exactly what it is. The war on terror is a war on liberty and sovereignty. All of Islamic world could be provocateured into international jihad. Well, it already is, right? What is it? The madrasas being a lot of large amounts of money going to madrasas to radicalize young Muslims from the West. 9/11 was a fabricated pretext to dominate the Middle East and beyond. Intelligence claims exposed by WikiLeaks are diabolical nonsense. So, yeah, that's why I said it's a controlled leak. They did it on purpose, so point attention towards Pakistan, but what they also did was they left this man who was kind of working for them out to dry. And this is what he said. My version, this is a quote, my version of events is not going out to America. I've been denied the visa to travel to America. These people will not let me in America because they are afraid that I will speak the truth. People will listen to the truth, end quote. And it says, Gall stated in response to the claims that he is personally, quote, quarterbacking attacks on U.S. forces in Afghanistan and Pakistan. It says a retired general blamed the fact that the military is heavily dependent on private contractors, even for intelligence gathering, contractors who only have an incentive to expand the wars and further profit from them. And this is similar to the veteran intelligence, what is it, VIPs or something? Basically, they're retired CIA or intelligence employees or officials that are now out that are for kind of disclosure, not really disclosure, but just about oversight, I guess you could say, of the CIA and intelligence agencies. And these people basically say that we're heading towards a war with Iran. They also say that much of the intelligence that they get is fabricated and ramped up because they want to go to war. And that's basically all it comes down to. Kind of like the yellow cake uranium for invading Iraq. This is from Press TV. It's titled, Iran will block Hormuz if attacked. And it says a senior Iranian military official says Iran will take full control of the Strait of Hormuz should Washington opt to launch an aggression against. This is the North Flies drone near south border. North Korea has flown an unmanned aerial vehicle near the disputed sea border with South amid escalating tension between the two neighbors. This is Iranian president meets Korean-Irish envoys. The Iranian president has in separate meetings received 2 new ambassadors to Tehran, discussing with them mutual relations as well as latest international developments. Bulking up the team before the Great War. India to enter gas pipeline talks with Iran. Iran's been stealing a lot of deals with countries around the world for energy. A year after withdrawing from a gas pipeline project with Iran and Pakistan, India has expressed willingness to rejoin the multi-billion-dollar deal. Venezuela ready to sell petrol to Iran. Thank you everybody for joining me in these video series. Have a good day.